Frederick W. Taylor's scientific management theory focused on improving productivity through systematic method. It's built on 4 principles: developing a true sign for tasks, selecting and training workers scientifically, fostering their development, and ensuring cooperation between managers and employees. Key practices include time motion study, task standardization, and performance-based reward. 3 key factors drive this theory. First, harmony. Harmony encourages open communication and cooperation between employees and management foster trust and commitment. 2. Systematic task planning. Breaking goals into smaller tasks, prioritizing and managing research ensure efficiency. 3. Selection and training of workers. Hiring the right people and equipping them with the skill boosts performance and satisfaction.
Okay, for the first slide is the standard deviation, mean and maximum value including t-test. Before I start explaining about this scale statistic, I want to tell everyone the meaning about mean, max, and standard deviation. Mean and max is define the range of your data from the smallest to the largest data value. Standard deviation is help you to understand how much the value deviate from the average. Okay, now I read the scale statistic from this table. The mean is 60.9833. This represents the average score across the 4 items in the data sets. For variant, 4.186. This shows the degree of variability or spread of score around the mean, with a relative low level of dispersion. Standard deviation is 2.04601. This indicates that on average, individual score deviate from the mean by 2.05 units. Number of items for the analysis include response from 4 different items or questions in the data set. The second slide about the standard deviation mean and maximum value including t-test. The mean is 60.1667 average score across 4 items. Variance is 5.565, indicate moderate spread of score from the mean. Standard deviation is 2.35902, score deviate on average by 2.36 units. Number of items is 4. The data set include response to 4 questions. If you can see for the third slide, the mean is 60.6333, center tendency of the data set. Variant 5.185, moderate spread of data point around the mean. Standard deviation is 2.27713. Average deviation from the mean is 2.28 units. Number of items is 4, comprising response to 4 items. For the last slide about the standard deviation, mean and maximum value including t-test, mean is 60.7833, represent the average score. Variance is 4.647, suggests a slightly lower spread compared to the other data set. Standard deviation 2.55, 2.15573, score deviate on average by 2.16 unit. Number of items is total number of question or measure.
Cronbach alpha is a measure internal consistency or reliability of questionnaire item. Independent variable is harmony and have 4 items in this scale. Alpha value is 0.768, is satisfactory to good reliability, indicate a strong relationship among item and reliable measurement of the same concept, suitable for research or evaluation purpose. Independent variable is selection and training workers, have 4 items in this scale. Alpha value 0.690, acceptable but weak reliability, indicate a sufficient but weak relationship among items and falls in the lower range of the acceptable category. Independent variable is systematic task planning and have 4 items in this scale. Alpha value is 0.764, is satisfactory to good reliability, indicate a strong relationship among items, demonstrate internal consistency is measuring the same construct, suitable for research or evaluation purpose with a good level of reliability. Dependent variable is productivity in management and have 4 items in this scale. Alpha value is 0.822, is a good reliability, indicate high internal consistency among items. Each item is well related and measure the same construct, highly reliable scale.
So for the R-square, the model summary reveals a satisfactory fit to the data with an R-square value of 0.478, indicating that approximately 47.8% of the variance in the dependent variable can be explained by the independent variables included in the model. However, the adjusted R-square of 0.450, which accounts for the number of predictors, provides a more conservative estimate of model fit, suggesting that 45% of the variance is explained by the model after adjusting for the number of predictors. The standard error of the estimate at 0.39974 represents the average deviation between the predicted values generated by the model and the actual observed values, providing an indication of the model's accuracy in predicting the dependent variable. Furthermore, the model's overall significance is strongly supported by the F statistic of 70.081 with a p-value of 0.000, indicating that the observed relationship between independent variables and the dependent variable is highly unlikely to have occurred by chance. ANOVA. The ANOVA table reveals a statistically significant regression model F356 equal to 70.081 P less than 001, providing strong evidence that the independent variables, namely STP, STW, and H, collectively explain a substantial portion of the variance observed in the dependent variable, EM. This significance is determined by comparing the variance explained by the regression model to the residual variance, which represent the unexplained variation in the data. The F statistic calculated to be 70.081 indicates a considerable difference between these two variances, with degrees of freedom, DF, of 3 for the model, representing the number of independent variables plus the constants, and 56 for the residual, calculated as the total number of observations minus the number of parameters estimated. The associated p-value is highly significant, falling below the threshold of 0.001. This low p-value strongly suggests that the observed relationship between the independent variables and PM is not likely to have occurred by chance. In other words, it is highly probable that the independent variables have a meaningful and statistically significant influence on the variation observed in the dependent variable, PM. Coefficient. Now let's delve into the specific contribution of each independent variable to our model. The coefficients table provide crucial insight into the relationship between each predictor and the dependent variable PM. We can see that all three independent variables, H, STW, and STP, have statistically significant coefficients. The SIG column shows p-values for each variable. As all p-values are below 0.05, we can confidently say that the effect of each variable on PM is not due to change. In other words, the relationship observed between these variables and PM are unlikely to be due to random fluctuations in the data. Looking at the B column, we observe that all the coefficients are positive. This indicates a positive relationship between each independent variable and PM. In other words, as H, STW, and STP increase, we expect PM to also increase, holding other variables constant. To compare the relative strength of the relationship between each predictor and PM, we can examine the standardized coefficient, which is beta. In this case, STP appears to have the strongest association with PM, as evidenced by its highest standardized coefficient. Beta is equal to 3 to 1. However, it's important to note that standardized coefficients are influenced by the overall variability of each predictor variable. So, direct comparison should be interpreted with caution. Finally, let's address the issue of multicollinearity. The VIF variance inflation factor in the collinearity statistic section is below 5 for all predictors, suggesting that multicollinearity or high correlation between the independent variables is not a major concern in this model. This is important because high multicollinearity can make it difficult to accurately estimate the individual effects on the predictors. To emphasize, all three independent variables are statistically significant predictors of PM. Each variable has a positive relationship with PM. STP appears to have the strongest association with PM based on the standardized coefficient, but interpretation should consider variability of each predictor. Low VIF values indicate that multicollinearity is not a major concern. Collinearity. The collinearity diagnostic table provides information to assess the severity of multicollinearity in our model. We will focus on two key metrics: condition indices and variance proportions. Condition indices are a measure of the severity of collinearity. A high condition index, generally above 30, indicates potential collinearity problems. In our case, the highest condition index is 25.620, which is below this threshold, suggesting that multicollinearity is not a major concern. Variance proportions show how much of the variance in each predictor is associated with different dimensions of collinearity. If a large proportion of a predictor variance is associated with a single dimension, it suggests that this predictor is highly correlated with other predictors. In this table, we can see that no single predictor has a large proportion of its variance associated with any single dimension, further indicating that multicollinearity is not a significant issue. The collinearity diagnostic suggests that multicollinearity is not a major concern in our model. This is important because high multicollinearity can make it difficult to accurately estimate the individual effect of the predictors on the dependent variable. To emphasize, multicollinearity can lead to unstable and unreliable regression coefficients. Condition indices and variance proportions are used to assess collinearity. Low condition indices and a lack of strong associations in variance proportion indicate that multicollinearity is not a major concern.
For regarding the hypothesis testing, a hypothesis is a statement or prediction that can be tested through research or experiment. It provides a clear idea of what you expect to find based on existing knowledge and observations. Hypothesis is relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. Conclusion: harmony in workplace with moderate positive correlation with productivity management. are 0.576 important of mutual respect involvement in the decision making and conflict resolutions. Selection and training of worker moderate positive correlation with productivity management are 0.567. Competent employees and adequate training and change skill and performance. Systematic task planning strongest positive correlation with productivity management are 0.598. Organized planning and use of digital tools improve organizational efficiency. All three variables significantly impact productivity management. Moderate correlation between predictors suggesting overlapping effect. Future research should consider reduced multi-coordinarity. Harmony selection and training workers and systematic training are crucial for improving productivity management and organizational success.